Thank you for joining us. I'm Jean Kitchen, and Ron Day, the president and CEO of First Carolina Bank, is with us today. And Ron, we were here a number of years ago when y'all were a newer bank. You're still relatively new in the whole banking industry, but you all have had phenomenal growth and expansion, and we're here today, I'm representing the Chamber, to celebrate Small Business of the Month, which you are being awarded in just a little bit. So thank you and congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's exciting to be back with you again. It's been a great run for us.
Well, and when kind of trace the history, there still might be people who didn't know this used to be another bank in this location on North Winstead. Tell us what provoked coming to this location and kind of give us the history.
Back in 2011, there were a group of local business people and leaders who decided that Rocky Mount could stand another locally owned bank. So they organized the effort to begin raising funds to buy this bank in particular. It was called First Carolina State Bank at the time. And they asked me to become involved late in 2011 with them in that effort.
How did they know? I mean, that was so smart of them to pick you out or to hire you. How did you have relationships with some of them ahead of time? I
did. One of our original founding directors was Bob Malden. And Bob used to be my neighbor on Dartmoor Court when our children were little and growing up. And of course, I worked for him prior at Centura. And he was the one who placed the original call to me in December of 2011 and just told me about what they were thinking. They had an idea. They had the contract done to buy the company, but there was a lot of work that needed to be done in terms of finishing the fundraising and getting regulatory approval for what they wanted to do. And that working relationship and that history was very important. It got me interested just because of the person that he was.
Oh, yeah.
And what he represented in the community. And he and Don Stallings and Tom Betts and Chuck Robbins and Jet Farabee and others were a part of the original group that called me. And I came over in late December of 2011 for an interview, and we talked about what they wanted to do, and I felt like I had the resident skill set and the background and the knowledge of the area. I was in Raleigh at the time. I am in Raleigh still, but we got together, finished up the capital raising, and then went through the process with the Federal Reserve in Richmond and the FDIC in Atlanta and Raleigh and the North Carolina Commissioner of Banks to get it approved. And that was quite a process. At that time, in 2011, 2012, things were beginning to get better, but it was still coming off the heels of the Great Recession. This company was literally 2 weeks from failure.
Your predecessor in this location.
We didn't have anything to do with that.
Right.
But it was a significantly troubled bank, significantly undercapitalized. It was owned by a company out of Michigan that had other problems other than just this company. And we just knew that with some local knowledge and local connections that we could pull it together, and we felt like that the market was ripe for another local bank. Providence Bank obviously is here in town, does a great job, but we felt like there was room for another company at that time.
Well, and fast forward to now, and you're winning all sorts of awards. Safest Bank, right? Just what are some of the other awards that you were given in 2019?
Well, one of the things that we have been focused on here, it's about the best time, in my opinion, to be in community banking in the United States. There's a lot of consolidation that's going on, but the one thing that hasn't changed is the customer's appetite for dealing with a local institution. And particularly in North Carolina, with the rich banking history that's here, people like dealing with companies that have ownership and decision-making power resident in North Carolina. And so we've taken advantage of that while all these other companies have been growing up and selling, and they're managed out of Pennsylvania or Florida or another state. We have all of our mind and matter here in Raleigh and Rocky Mount, North Carolina. mostly in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And so we've said that in order to preserve the opportunity to continue doing that, you have to be relevant. And the way you're relevant is that you prove that that you can bring new customers in. And that means you have to grow. And we don't have a focus on growing by acquisition. We have a focus on growing by relationships.
And that's very unusual in the banking world, isn't it?
It is. A lot of banks, their strategy is to grow themselves up and be sold. Or to become only an acquirer and to become large, maybe not necessarily better by doing that. We think that we can become better by growing what we call organically with customers who are in the community who we have prior relationships with, that they want to come back to a company that has all the capability, which we do. We have all of the digital, electronic, and smart ways of doing business. But you're doing business with people that you have experience with, and they have access to the tools and the people to get it done quickly and easily for you. Our tagline is, we do the day-to-day things in banking extremely well. We absolutely live by that every day, and we hold ourselves accountable to that standard. So, and it's not rocket science. It's just really getting up every day and serving customers and making things happen, and we do that. Customers respond to it. It's as simple as giving a loan decision quickly, making sure that the debits and credits add up appropriately, and doing them in advance of the customer's expectation. And so
in advance of their expectations?
Yes,
wow.
Because a lot of times most customers have gotten used to very average service from banks. And very difficult processes to deal with, calling a 1-800 number, and
being put on hold forever.
Exactly,
and or then maybe not even getting somebody that one can understand.
Right. I mean, a fast no is better than a long yes sometimes. Knowing what your answer needs to be, giving it to them, and getting them on down the road so that they can go about their business. And so we spend a lot of time on, again, holding ourselves accountable to that standard. And growing. And we have been the fastest growing bank in the state organically each of the last 3 years. We are literally growing a community bank about every quarter now. We finished the year at $650 million in assets. That was up from $500 million the previous year in. Today, we're at $720 million in assets after a month and a week and a half of 2020. We will be pushing $800 million in total assets by the end of the first quarter, based on our pipeline of business that we're working on right now. And again, I don't say that because growth by itself is good. It has to be done in a way that's such that the customers are getting what they need and that we are able to create profitability for our shareholders. So we're doing that.
You're adding new services too, aren't you?
Well, what we're really doing is going deeper within some of the lines of business that we have already been involved in. We are a commercially oriented company where we make loans to commercial real estate concerns, we make loans to operating businesses, and we have a growing personal consumer part of our business. Because a lot of the business owners that we do business with have personal needs, and it just immediately falls into us if we transact with them very efficiently on the business side. So we're in all layers, but I think too, from our technology standpoint, it's not new product. We're very much state of the current in terms of the technology that's available for the customer to interact with us. Many like to come into the office, many don't, and we can handle either one of those equally as well.
I think we know based on age range who wants to come in and who wants to.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
You'd be surprised. There are many people today, no matter what their age, who transact with us via their telephone, and that's all they do. Which is, I mean, again, it's an advantage. If you want to come in, you're going to get a great experience, but you're going to get a great secure experience online too. And that's another point that I would make just in terms of our growth. Many times in banking, growth can be a negative because there's a sense that if you're growing too fast, you must be doing something wrong, you must be cutting corners. But we're also the safest bank in the state.
What does that mean?
Well, things like, what is the loan quality of your book of business? Are you making risky decisions in order to grow your balance sheet more quickly? We have been ranked for the last 2 quarters as the #1 bank in the state in terms of asset quality, which means that we don't have past due loans. We don't have loans that are considered troubled because of their payment status or structure. We don't have other real estate owned, which means that we've had to foreclose to get the collateral back to get repaid.
How have you avoided that? Just very purposefully?
Well, I think it's purposeful, as well as it's an indication of the economic times. Rocky Mount's economy is very good. I mean, it is much better than it was when we started over and in 2012. And the state in general is a very good place to do business. I think too, with the changes in law that happened in the last recession, in the aftermath of that, banks are held to a different standard in terms of how we do business. There's no such thing as banker's hours. Our folks work very hard. Another indication again of how we do that, we're also the most efficient bank in the state. So in terms of dollars that we spend to produce a dollar of revenue, we are the most efficient bank in the state in each of the last 2 quarters. Again, coming from a place of near failure 8 years ago. We do this just because it's who we are. It's what our culture is. We have very high performing people that hold each other to a very high standard, and we just expect to be there. We like being #1. We know that that's hard to maintain, and I think it's just a discipline that we bring to the job every day is how we do it, in addition to having a very good economy and making sure that we're selecting the loans that we do carefully. Even though we're doing a lot, we're selecting carefully too.
And it means so much to Rocky Mount, Ron, because today we're here to celebrate also a groundbreaking, aren't we?
That's right. My folks have been in my ear for well over a year now about the fact that we're running out of space in this building on 171 North Winstead. So we studied it. Fortunately, we own the lot that is immediately adjacent to us. So from a financial decision standpoint, it's sort of a natural move. But we will be breaking ground today to build a building that looks very similar in size and scope and physical appearance to what we have here right now. And it will house many of our corporate departments and provide for growth. We have people sitting in offices together right now at 171. And so we're very excited about growing and the commitment that demonstrates to Rocky Mount and what we're doing. We expect to be in the new building by October of this year.
Well, and I really wanted you to talk about that, and Kristen Brabble, who is kind of your face in the community, will be joining us in the second half. But that shows that you are putting down roots here. You are investing in our community in a really strong way.
No, there's no doubt. We're #1 in deposit market share in the city limits of Rocky Mount. We intend to keep that. We intend to have the investment generate additional business opportunities for us. Rocky Mount has been very good to our company, and it will be for many, many years to come. We have great employees here. We have the majority of our shareholder base is here. Even as we've grown into Raleigh and Wilmington and now Virginia Beach and Reidsville, we've expanded our shareholder base, but we have the majority of that in Rocky Mount, and folks have been very good to us.
And they're all people, like you mentioned, Bob Malden, and you are attracting other very talented bankers who like what you're doing and want to be part of your team.
Yeah, that's true. So one of the things about growth in banking today is it looks a little different than it used to, notwithstanding that we're building this new building next door. It's not all about bricks and mortar. We have a reputation that is growing in the marketplace as a place that people want to be. The culture, the do business attitude, and high performers who have existing books of business, they want to come and work in this environment because they know it's easier to get things done. There's a sense of urgency about getting things done, and that is attracting people to call us and ask us about, do we have openings? And it's allowing us to enter new markets with people first rather than buildings. It's still a relationship business. I started 32 years ago with the old North Carolina National Bank, and NCNB. We had people at the time that talked about it was a people business, and even with technology today, it still very much is.
Well, thank you. I mean, we're just really excited about what you're doing for Rocky Mount. We're excited about the products and just the customer service that you're bringing right here to us in Rocky Mount. And I love hearing that you're not growing to be bought, you're growing to invest in our community.
No, we like the business.
Here. Good.
And the banking business is the second oldest business in the history of the world. I don't think it's going anywhere, and we plan on being in it for a long time.
Super. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to have the banner presentation, and then I'm going to come back with Kristen Bravel. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erin Gall, and I'm the chair of the Rocky Mount Chamber of Commerce Small Business Committee. And we're here this afternoon to honor First Carolina Bank with our February Small Business of the Month. They started back in 2012 and have grown very rapidly, in not just their regional location, but also the different organizations and services their employees participate in. They have offices from Reidsville, Wilmington, Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Virginia Beach. Many of those full service locations, some of them are just loan production offices. With Wilmington, they're going to be the newest one to come into the full service fold. So we're honored to honor First Carolina Bank today, and David's going to give a few words as well.
Thank you, Erin. I'm David Ferris. I'm President and CEO of the Rocky Mount Area Chamber of Commerce, and this is a wonderful celebration, Ron, to think not quite 8 years ago, a group of investors came together and formed a local bank. And the sign of a healthy community is when investors invest locally, and in particular in institutions such as First Carolina Bank. And to come out here and watch it grow and grow and grow, it's just been amazing to me. This really is the spirit of Rocky Mount and the Twin Counties. And we're so glad that this is the headquarters, and that now I understand we're getting ready to have a groundbreaking ceremony and expand the corporate offices because, frankly, you're out of space. And what a wonderful testimony to your leadership and your team's ability to cultivate customers. And I personally thank you. I think on behalf of all the nonprofits that you support and your people support, not only monetarily, but in their time, especially the young lady beside you, Kristen, with the Tackle the Tar. That's been a game changer for countless young men and women that'll enter our workforce, and thank you for that. And Ron, we want to hear from you now.
David, thank you so much. We're proud to be here today. Back in 2012, I don't know that we could have envisioned this. I know there are some who were part of our founding team, people like Tom Betts and Don Stallings, and I see Pat Malden here today, Bob's wife, who would be so proud and are so proud of what's happening today. Rocky Mount is a wonderful community, wonderful team members, supportive, and we're just so excited to be investing back. The majority of our shareholders are in Rocky Mount, and you know, we've been lucky enough to be the fastest growing bank in the state each of the last 3 years.
Congratulations.
Right here out of Rocky Mount, and we anticipate that that will only continue. So we just appreciate the attention and the time of everybody to be with us today.
Well, we're so happy to be here. And Kristen, we want you to talk about Tackle the Tar for a moment.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to do that. Please join us on May 16th, 2020. It's a Saturday. We'll be having our 5th annual Tackle the Tar event. All of our proceeds go to local students going to local colleges, and it's put on by the Rocky Mount Rotary Club. And again, we've given out $234,000 over the last 4 years. So it's been a great thing for the Twin Counties.
Thank you. And Ron, again, on behalf of the Rocky Mount Area Chamber of Commerce and frankly our community, we thank you and we thank your team members for all you do, and congratulations on being our Small Business of the Month.
Thank you very much.
great turnout for the banner presentation. And Kristen, I have to say, in talking to Ron, I said, we've got to have Kristen on because she is the face in Rocky Mount of your bank and have done such a good job.
Well, thank you.
With that. And of course, a big part of this award, Small Business of the Month, and be in line for consideration for the year, is what you give back to the community and how involved you are in the chamber. And you have really thrown yourself into that. I think beyond, it's much more than something you're doing because it's an obligation. You really enjoy it, don't you?
I do, and you know, it's one of the things that we talk about here as part of our culture. I mean, when we interview people, we talk about community first. That's our big thing. We ask them, do they volunteer? And you know, if they don't, we're going to put them to work here, and we're going to send them out into the community. So it's not just me, it is our whole company. We have a community first attitude.
Well, and before we go any farther, I want to mention, because Ron talked about the great building and the groundbreaking today. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is going to be our corporate office. The address will be actually 181 North Winstead Avenue, and we're moving our corporate team next door. It's on our lot now, so we're not going very far. And then our operations will stay here in the 171 building where our branch will be. And so we're just expanding. We've added a few new jobs, and those jobs are currently sitting across from someone else's desk here where we're sitting, so we just need a little more space.
Oh, good, good. Well, let's talk more about community involvement. You're on the executive committee of the chamber.
Yes, ma'am.
For years you've served on the chamber board, right?
I have. One of the first things I did when I moved here was get involved at the chamber. It was the very first thing. I remember serving hot dogs out at the chamber's meeting in July time frame, meeting Mr. Jim Dickens. He was the first one I met. So that was, I started on the ground with the chamber, just volunteering. I joined the small business committee and led that for 1 year as the chair, and then they asked me to join the board, and I've been on the board for 4.5 years now.
In Rotary, very involved in Rotary, and was the founder of Tackle the Tar.
Yes.
What's been the impact of that? And of course, you make it very clear every time you do something that you're representing the bank. I mean, this is, and you bring the full force of the other employees and financially with sponsoring, be partner for things. But what's been the impact of Tackle the Tar?
So Tackle the Tar's whole motto is play in the mud, send a kid to college. And it's our local students going to our local colleges, so Nash, Edgecombe, and Wesleyan. This will be our 5th year on May 16th. Don't forget that date, May 16th. We have given $234,000 over the last 4 years. And then so this 5th year we do plan to give, you know, we gave $81,000 the past year. We plan to give more than that this coming year. So it's been a big impact to our local students here. And we came up with the idea behind the giving because a lot of young people would leave and go to college and they'd never come back. So we wanted to keep kids here and thrive in this community. So that's been our big key.
And every month you have a local charity or something that y'all are contributing to, right?
We do.
How does that work? So
the bank, again, that goes back to our culture. We spend 1 day every month giving back to a nonprofit in our area. So February's is the Down East Partnership for Children. We're going to go out there and volunteer, and whatever it is that nonprofit needs us to do, we do. So we went out to Peacemakers a couple of months ago, and we removed light fixtures off walls and helped them paint. We rang the bell for the Salvation Army last month in December. So each month we do something different, and we rotate those nonprofits each year as well.
Who decides what you do? Is it kind of a group decision?
Yes, we have. We put it in our marketing committee. We have a good group of people in our marketing committee, and each one of our locations do this as well. So Raleigh and Reidsville, Wilmington, Virginia Beach, they all do this, and they pick their own nonprofit. So the branches get together collectively and decide which nonprofit to choose.
Kristen, you're the COO. I remember when that was announced, and you were in Business North Carolina magazine. You just the accolades to be. Are you 29 yet, or are you still 28?
I'm still 28.
Still 28. I think that speaks volumes about you, first off. But it also speaks volumes about the bank, that they would promote someone younger and grow within, don't you think?
Yes, ma'am. I've been here for this year will make 10 years. I started as a teller. and was very close to leaving the bank one day, and Ron came into the bank and he said, just trust me. There are bigger things to come, and I did, and it's been a wonderful journey. Our bank loves young people. They love all people, but we are very good about hiring on the ground floor, teaching them and growing within.
Everybody who works here is strongly encouraged to do volunteer work. I think y'all just won the volunteer, was the Ambassador of the Year?
The Ambassador of the Year, yes. Elizabeth Overton won Ambassador of the Year.
And you seek out employees who have the mindset to give back to the community, don't you?
Yes, we do. We do.
Going forward, you said you've got the plan for February for what you're going to do. So every single month throughout the year,
we do. We have something every month, and we're always finding new ways to get involved. Just last week, Elizabeth Overton was named to the Braswell Memorial Library Board. So we're always getting into new things, and the community is welcome to reach out to us as well. We've done toy drives and coat drives and dog food drive. So, I mean, if there's any need in the community, we do want them to reach out and tell us. We'd love to put it on the list.
Well, and with this new building, you're going to, I think Ron said September, you hope to be?
September, October time frame, yes. Yes.
I hear some chuckle in the background, perhaps, but it's a great place to work. So people who are out there who might be interested in a banking career, and now that you're putting so much money through Tackle the Tar back into educating local people, there's not only is the community growing, and y'all are working to be sure that you have all the services that will appeal to any age group.
On our website, there's a careers tab if anyone wants to see what positions we have open. And we do have 2 open positions right now, one here and one in our Wilmington market, but we do keep that page updated as soon as something comes available. So we would love for people to check that out.
And you know you have to stay here. You're not allowed to go elsewhere. We need you here.
You are not the first person to tell me that.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going anywhere.
And I have to tell you, Ron said when you've got somebody, when you walk in and you say, what can I do to help you today? And the person says, I got it. I mean, what more could you ask for? So great job, Kristen. And thank you for all of what y'all do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.